Just see if it's streaming. I think I'm gonna spend 1.5 hours here today, and I'm gonna continue to do the script visualization site. I finally made it happen, the poker tool. The algorithm there, it looks like it's working now. And the biggest issue is the memory, how much memory is using. So at some point I might change things. I was already thinking about stuff that I can change. One of them is keeping a smaller list here of the previous bats, but that's going to be very difficult to do. I'm not sure if that's possible or not, because it's going to change the whole logic for everything if I try to keep only the last two bats. The other thing is to do the calculations in a different way for each hand, to maybe convert, to create an algorithm that gets all the possible bats before, and then use that instead of using the bats that I'm using and doing the conversion here in the way that I'm doing. Because the issue is that this algorithm here took around 40, not sure if I think it's GB, yeah, 40 GB of RAM. And when I create the tree file solver, it says that it only needs 2 gigabytes. So obviously there's like, I think that this is because there's something wrong. Not something wrong, but there are a lot of optimizations that I can do. But the other thing might be because the software they done is with C#, I think, or a lower level language, which is faster and uses less memory. Could be that as well. So yeah, but at least this one works. So I'm very happy about that. So if I can't optimize anymore, I'm just gonna leave it like this, because it still can be built big enough trees. It might be different than Bio because of the information that I'm putting here as well. So yeah, the biggest issue is that if I obviously haven't tried to do anything else after this. So if I try to do other stuff, I might not have enough memory. That's the problem. Sure, update the tree with the data. But the problem that I was having here, and it took like a very long time, is that I had an infinite loop on the recursion, and it's because on one of these actions in the river here. Also, the other thing that I realized is that I don't need to pop here, because I was passing in the wrong way the information, so I was getting the wrong sequence, and I was also getting like a very big list here, which made me think, and I was getting the max recursion def thing, which made me think that there was something wrong. So, and the thing that I was wrong is that I was passing that east turn equals true here to one of them, and then from the river it was going back to the turn, and that was causing an infinite loop, but it was really hard to find. So today, I think I'm just gonna go back to building the visualization sites. So I'm gonna run this file, and I think now what I have to do is more to study Vue.js and see how can I incorporate Vue.js on the thing that I have there. I'm just gonna check to see when I open when I start running the front end, and I'm gonna check to see if I'm getting the data still. So here what I'm gonna do is pass the information in a different way. I need to comment this stuff. actually. And then here, I think the only thing that I'm gonna do, like what I'm gonna do is pass the stack frame as a list, because the good thing about doing this way is just that I'm encoding the information in a string so that a list is easier. I don't have to put things inside of the dictionary and then a list, and then unpack everything on the front end. We just put everything on a list, and then I will do the same. I will just loop over the list and do the same logic that I did here. So the only thing that I'm gonna do differently is instead of popping, we just append turn events. Yeah, but looks like I'm receiving the information. Nice. So let's comment this out, and then stack frame, append, return. So I think I can delete this. Hmm. Oh, I need to append. No, I am append. Yeah, but I don't want to append the nodes. That's the thing. So I'm gonna comment this out. And then just append current frame. Oh, it's messing up. It was messing up because I was returning. I was just appending, and then it was trying to create the connections there. So now I think it should work. Okay, and it stops the thing. Nice. Yeah, so now what I have to do is just study the VJS and try to build a simple graph. It's probably gonna take a long time to do. I put the timer, yeah. It's gonna take a long time, I guess, to because it's a very big library. So I have to figure out how to what things do I need to import, and because I'm doing in a different way, so I can't use the documentation directly. I think this documentation here. So it looks like the way that it works is it creates a class, and then the class has a bunch of event listeners, and then based on the event listeners, it triggers some functions that change the graph. And I've also seen, I remember from last time, that they have some functions to update the canvas, to change the size of the canvas, and things like that. And the last thing that I was looking at was this Hammer.js library, which I think is the library they use for to listen for events. But I'm not really sure because I couldn't find the library here on this one this repository that I downloaded. So I looked into all the repositories they had, and they had a lot of another one, and on that one I found something related to this Hammer here with Theos, but I stopped there last time and I didn't investigate further. So I don't know exactly. I guess it's for phone events when people are using on the on their phone to capture events based on the touch. Yeah, but I know that the things are on this library here, this file. So what is the path here? Lib, Vue.js, lib. And I think this is the class. What I can do is just import this here. I need to do on the other file because this is the other one that I'm receiving the data. And then I don't know because if I need the data, how it's gonna work there with the state. think I'm gonna ask ChatGPT if there are any other libraries for updating, because my main concern here is that this library doesn't work for updating live. Because I think the way that it works more is you have to initialize it and then it's gonna create the canvas. But it would be better if I could find something that I can create the canvas and then update the canvas live. But I'm not even sure if that's possible or not. But it should be possible, actually. Because I remember some stuff that I've seen in the past with canvas animations and things like that. That you can listen for events inside of the canvas, and then based on the events, maybe change the data. So maybe that's what I should be looking into. But the issue that with this approach, the other approach is that it's going to be harder, I think. Because then I have to figure out the... But I remember when I was studying these animations with Canvas, the way that you do it is you get the mouse position. Then you listen for events. Then there's some libraries that allow you to put some animations as well. So I think I need to go that route, but then the problem is I have to recreate the physics engine, I think, for the nodes. Or not recreate, but look into what they did, understand what they did, and then try to customize to the way that I'm trying to do. Because the picture, the vision that I have, the picture that I have in my mind is just, as I receive the data, the nodes get created on the canvas. And then I can pause the data, and I can just go back and forth with the keyboard. Like maybe create multiple different styles and events and things like that, where you can go back and forth in the animation. You can navigate through the nodes, that kind of stuff. And then each node can allow you to go to the function and see what's happening there. The issue is that if I turn this into a website that other people can use, then yeah, I would have to create other functions, I think, to allow them to, so that the system gets the file in their computer. But then it becomes a problem because it becomes far more complicated, I think, because then first you have to see if they have the file. You have to ask permission, and I don't know how that works. Because obviously they wouldn't be able to see the file on the server from the website. I'm just seeing here how PyVis does it to initialize the graph, so I can think about it, about the code that I'm gonna put there on my website. And maybe it's more interesting if I spend this time going over the Vue.js thing. Okay, container, it just gets this one. And it's putting everything inside of the function. Maybe that's what I should do, and then I just call the function asynchronously inside of the onMount thing. Because the thing is, I have to wait for the WebSocket data. So I think it makes sense to create the graph only after I have the data. So the thing that I'm doing here doesn't make sense where I initialize here. I have to initialize inside of here. Yeah, I'm subscribing here. So maybe I'll create a function on here and then put the function there. Let's see if I can await this. Yeah. And here I would have a canvas. Let me see if it is a canvas here. Or just an ID. Yeah, I think that later on it appends the canvas on the ID. I don't remember really well how it works. But I remember going over this at some point. So the data. Yeah, that's the thing I would have to create here. As is a whole different logic, because if I do like a condition to see to check if there's the data and then I loop over the data and create the nodes, that's obviously different than if I want to wait for the events and then create the nodes, create the node as the events happen. But the issue is that if I do it like that, then I can't do the logic from the stack. That is gonna, so that's the other component, which is that depending on what I wanna do, I wanna change the logic for the visualization. So maybe it's better to create different functions. Like, or I call the functions like organize data, or organize the data. And then inside of these functions that organize the data differently, I create the nodes and the edges. And then based on that, then I can make some control flow so that I, depending on what the user wants, it creates the data because it selects the function. I think I'm gonna study more the other stuff here now. I'm gonna study more the VGS library and then I'll think about this offstream, the other, the more like how I'm gonna recreate the graph. Because first I need to clarify the thing about the canvas. How this library works, and maybe it's not even the best to use this library. Maybe it's better to do with another library. forgot to put this stuff here. Actually, why don't you do it like this? And then the edge. But it's gonna change because I'm not sure the way that it gets there. But I think it creates based on the. So this is already gonna be the dictionaries of the nodes and the edges. So I need to create that first. Maybe let's say that I would receive edge and node here. But it's different. But I think I'm gonna think about this later. Because obviously I can structure the information here. Like, it's not that hard to do. The hardest part is figuring out which way I'm gonna do it. And if I'm gonna use this library or another one. So I think I'm gonna ask ChatGPT first. See what it says. I'm gonna ask what kind of library is the best. Or what is the best way. What is the best way to update the canvas with live coming from sockets? It's a graph of and I have to study more how to set up this. I think I'm gonna go over this file here and I'm gonna see how they set up these events. I need to understand this library here. I think there was a library from the last time that I saw this that deals with these events here, create these events. But I'm not 100% sure. So the function works like a class, I think. And then the physics stuff and canvas stuff is on modules. And this files here. And it's very big. Yeah, this library here. So I need to understand how they do it with the events. So there's 3 different options. I think it's really just true, but one choose the VJS, the other is choose another library. And then the third, which is most likely what I'm going to do, is to take one of these libraries and then modify the library. So what I'm probably going to do is use the VJS, but then modify so that I get what I want. So I'm probably going to have to start modifying based on the network class here function. But this one probably has the whole project connected to this. So I have to think about what is the best way to start. Like if I go over the other files, try to understand them more, and then go back to this one. Or if I read this one and then go to the other files based on whatever I see on this one. And I think first I have to understand how it works with the graph. Like because I never used the library directly from VGS. I only used to create graphs from Python, so I don't understand really well how it works. In Python, I think that it's mandatory to obviously create the graph first. But on here, I'm not really sure if you can create like an empty graph first and then just update the data. I think that's probably not how it works because of the way that it's receiving here, the arguments. But maybe it does work. Yeah, so I have to think about how to change it so that I was gonna say that it does work because you can just change the data that you're sending, but it obviously doesn't because you have to pass the container the options, and this is a function. So I think you need to have all the data if you're gonna use it the way that it is here. But it would be better if I had something that I can initialize with no data, and then I create a function inside that updates the graph based on the data. And I'm not sure why they did it. I think I've seen somewhere else that there is a class, but here is a function. So I don't remember really well where I saw the class. And the other thing but this is what I'm gonna say now is a much more complicated way, but I was thinking about maybe I should use something different and entirely try to do it with WebAssembly and Rust because I want to make it as fast as possible. Because the problem with these libraries is that once it gets through a lot of nodes, it becomes unusable pretty much. So there it would be, but that one I think is too complicated because I have to understand how the canvas is being rendered through the low level stuff of the compiler or what's happening under the hood. But I kind of do want to understand that. I think the reason why they did it this way is probably because it's an older library, so they are not using the new syntax for creating classes. So this is a class. Interesting. I'm not really sure though, then why they did it the other way on the network. Hmm. Maybe you should just ask ChatGPT to say, like, what I assume this library does is allows you to create custom events, and maybe it has something to do with the with events on a phone. But I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to dive too much into this, I think. Maybe we should just look at the index. It's not that big of a library. I think what I'm most likely going to do is just to change the VGS library so that it does what I wanted to do, because it already has all this stuff. So in the as far as I'm looking now, it seems that it's gonna be very complicated to recreate all of that. You probably spend a lot of time building all this stuff. So what I will have to do is just to maybe I should create the GitHub repository now for the project. That's probably what I'm gonna have to do is slowly over time, after I understand more and more of how everything is connected, I change one function or another. The problem here, the challenge is that I have to change from the top, I think. This is the issue. And I know that if I change from here, it's gonna change everything else, and I might get lost. So this is the reason why I think it's better to just spend a lot of time trying to understand how everything is connected first, So I have a decent idea because the first thing that is coming to my mind is to change the arguments that the function receives, so that I don't have to get out the data. So the first thing is to remove this container, not the the container I think is not necessary to remove because you're gonna have the container in the initialization. You just remove the data from here, and then it looks like they have an event listener there that allows it to update the graph based on the edges and the data. So what I can do is change those functions that are based on those event listeners to do what I want them to do, but then I have to understand how they work better. Because I think those functions that exist there are for a situation where you have a lot of nodes and then you pass some kind of option that allows you to do clustering, which means that when some of the nodes are not on the screen, then it removes the edges and the nodes from the graph. I think it updates the graph based on that, on those event listeners. And then once they are on again, it adds them again. I think that's what it's doing. So it's slightly different than what I want to do, which is to add the nodes as I create the graph. But I want to make sure that I understand more, because if I start changing then and I don't understand really well, then it might screw things up and then I don't know how to fix. And this is the stuff here. Like they have a lot of imports from this library, and this one is from another GitHub repository that they have. So maybe you should download that repository as well and then put inside of here. But I couldn't find the exact name on this other repository for the hammer thing, but I found a file that was hammer. So I assume it's the same one, but it's not. It doesn't have the folder with the same name. But it must be from that repository because there isn't any other repository that is related to this stuff here, to this util. Oh, this is the one that there was a class that I looked into it the last time. So maybe this one is not a class because it's just creating the structure, let's say. And then it uses multiple different classes to create this thing. So it's inside of modules. So the drawing functions will be on the class of the shape. Maybe I should try to build with the data that I have there first. So just do a simple graph. I have to understand though first. So first understand here so I can know what kind of functions I'm gonna need on here to create the graph. Then I create a simple graph with the data. And after that, I modify the library. I think this function here, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna use it now. Just better to pass graph here, probably. And then I use this data to create a simple one. But I have to understand more. I think I understand kind of the design here, but I don't understand really well how everything is connected. So I have on the components, you have nodes and edges, and then I have all the functions and classes used to create the nodes and edges and add all the events and options. Then, yeah, these are the main classes probably. And where's the base one that I was looking at? Yeah, these ones are the base to create and edges. Oh, edges doesn't have. Okay, so it has here. Probably this is the base as well for creating the edges. It's weird that edges are edges are on TypeScript and nodes are on JavaScript. Not sure why. And then the modules are the other stuff related to the canvas and more of the network that uses the edges and nodes. So these are probably functions for managing the canvas with the edges and the nodes. And then these other functions are related to the graph itself, the main class, I think. Yeah, so I think I have to go through this file and try to understand how to format the nodes, because I don't know if I should try to create from these classes here. Probably not. Because I think that's the thing, is like the design is, because from this design, it probably creates everything based on the way that you send the data there on the network. So all these classes are structured to handle that situation. So in that sense, you don't need to specify what each class is gonna have, because that logic is done through this file here. It's very hard to understand how everything works. I think the more time you spend, the easier it gets. Maybe they are transitioning to TypeScript everything, and that's why some of the files are TypeScript and others are not. So let me focus on this one first, I think. Keep saying that, but there's so much stuff to see. Let me close this. Also, to understand like what is the purpose of doing this thing here. And maybe on the repository they have some examples of how to use this. So let me go back here and then I'm gonna ask what is the point of this library, and then I think I'm gonna look into the repository to see if they have an example on how to start a graph. What's up? 10 piece 8. I'm thinking about whether or not it is worth it to investigate the other two libraries. The reason why I think VGS is better is because this one seems to be more for graphs that are in charts like that. But from this thing here, it seems like it also has the option to create network graphs. So it might be easier to use one of these libraries to, instead of using VGS to do what I want to do. The VGS is obviously the one that I'm most familiar with. So I think I'm gonna search for videos about this other two. This one I remember seeing on FreeCodeCamp stuff, but I didn't do anything with it, I think, besides the challenge, the FreeCodeCamp challenge. The thing is that these ones, I think they don't allow you to interact with the graph. That's the thing. So maybe I should ask those kinds of questions to ChatGPT.
Including the ability to work with SVG graphics, animation, and interactivity. D3.js is a good choice for complex visualizations or for projects that require a lot of control over the visual design. However, the learning curve for D3.js can be steep, and it can take more time to create a visualization from scratch. It may not be the best choice if you are looking for a simpler or faster solution. Chart.js. Chart.js is a simpler library focused on creating interactive charts and graphs quickly and easily. It has a smaller set of features and is designed to be easy to use and customize. Chart.js is a good choice for basic data visualizations or for projects that require a fast development cycle. However, Chart.js has fewer customization options compared to D3.js, and it may not be suitable for more complex visualizations. Also, Chart.js is more geared towards static charts rather than live updates. Viscount.js. Viscount.js is a library that specializes in network visualization. It provides tools for creating interactive networks, timelines, and other types of visualizations. Viscount.js is a good choice for projects that require a lot of interactivity or for visualizing complex network data. Viscount.js has a smaller set of features compared to D3.js and may not be as customizable. It also has some performance limitations when dealing with very large datasets. Considering your requirements, it seems like Viscount.js may be the best choice for creating a live graph of a network of nodes connected through edges that represent stack frames of an execution of a script, given its specialized focus on network visualization and interactivity. However, it's worth noting that D3.js may also be a good choice if you need more control over the visual design or need to customize the visualization in more detail.
It's a tough. I think I'm gonna end up going through with Vue.js, but it's a tough decision because of this thing here. Like it seems like D3 is better for more complex visualization and also handling custom events. But Vue.js is better for the other stuff. Maybe you should ask which one is faster. I think you need to watch these videos first to decide.
It's difficult to make a direct comparison between Viscount.js and D3.js in terms of Canvas updates, as they have different approaches and strengths when it comes to visualization. Viscount.js is primarily focused on network visualization and uses the HTML5 canvas element to render visualizations. It has built-in optimizations for handling large datasets and real-time updates, which can make it fast and efficient for certain types of visualizations. D3.js, on the other hand, is a more general-purpose visualization library that can work with a wide range of data types and visual representations. It offers a lot of flexibility and control over the visualization, which can be useful for customizing the rendering process. However, this also means that it can require more work to optimize performance and handle real-time updates. In terms of Canvas updates specifically, both Viscount.js and D3.js have some strengths and weaknesses. Viscount.js has built-in features for handling Canvas updates efficiently, such as the ability to selectively redraw only parts of the canvas that have changed. D3.js can also handle Canvas updates efficiently, but it may require more manual optimization and customization to achieve the desired performance. Overall, the choice between Viscount.js and D3.js for Canvas updates will depend on the specific needs of your project and the type of visualization you are working with. Both libraries are capable of handling real-time updates and canvas rendering, but they have different strengths and approaches that may be better suited to different use cases.
I don't remember. I think it is like this. And now I put the same conditions here on the other one. And then for the edges, it's gonna be the same thing. And then I use that to create the graph from this file. Well, it shouldn't be that hard to create the graph. But it's much harder to understand everything and then know what kind of stuff I need to change and how to change it. But I think I should create the simple graph first so that I see how similar it is from Python. Because I'm gonna create the graph once I receive the data. Oh, I need to use the new class. Forgot about that. Why is Viz network? I didn't use because it is a function. think on the templates, there's also, yeah, here. I don't understand why the V's though. Like V's.network. Maybe it's because of the file, but there is no V's there. I think that initializing like that works when you are downloading the thing, when you're importing. But not if I try to initialize it from this here because I downloaded directly from the repository. So I think I just need to put to import from the path, and then from the path I do the new thing. Yeah, I think here on this script it's probably gonna be importing somewhere here from a CDN. Yeah, this network here. I think I'm gonna keep studying this on offstream. I think it shouldn't be that hard to create the start the graph. It's just this is gonna be different, I assume, because it's gonna depend on the way that I import here. But then I can just use, like, it's probably gonna be the function from here, and then I initialize with the same thing, and then from this class I have to see how it works to run the thing. Maybe I should go back to the template on Flask to see how does it work. But the hard part is understanding how everything is connected here, and especially these event emitters here. Because as far as I understand now, it emits these events and then it subscribes to the events on the other classes here. So I have to understand how to navigate through them to see how everything is connected. And then based on the events, there are going to be some logic, probably maybe inside of a function, maybe not, that determines what happens on the canvas and how it's updated. And those are the functions that I have to change probably. Because I want the graph to update while I receive the data live to create the nodes and the edges. So connecting all the logic of the data, both on the back end and on the front end, is the challenge. Because I have to synchronize the passing of the data from the file here to the server, to the front end, and then from that data, create the graph. And I want to understand more, but it looks like I don't have to understand really well how the canvas work, but maybe for the future, because I also think it is interesting to understand like how to optimize the canvas and the drawings on the thing. And it's probably gonna take me a lot of time to understand everything. I think the more time I spend understanding each file, the easier it's gonna be to make the changes. But first, I need to do the... So I think off stream, we're probably gonna build a simple graph here. It's probably easy as well. We just... the only thing, I'm gonna copy the logic that I did here on this file, because I'm just sending the data here. So copy these if statements and then create the edges based on an object here, the nodes and the edges. Oh, connecting the nodes might be hard, because there I'm just connecting based on the ID because I have the class. So that might be different, but it doesn't matter that much. I just want to create something simple here, I think. I got the nodes and the edges, and then I create the data instead of doing from here. Just create from here, where it's going to be nodes and then edges. And then I just pass this here, along with the options there. And I think this is going to create the graph from the data. And I think I might also use ChatGPT. I'm going to see if I can put this stuff here. The repository. Oh, this is the other one. It's not the main one. Maybe I should download this one as well. I think I'm gonna download this one and create 2 different folders, just in case I need it, because there are some files that use stuff from this one on the other one. So it might be necessary to have both of them if I want to do it directly from the files. I think I'm gonna do that. So inside of the place that I put here, I just create another one. I think I'll finish doing the offstream. Then I'm probably gonna use the repository from the main one to put on ChatGPT and see if I can. It's probably gonna be easier to understand if I ask questions to ChatGPT. But I think I kind of get it already. The design is more figuring out. So it's kind of annoying in the beginning here, but I think after I do the first graph and then I understand a little bit more, then I think it's gonna be possible to change the library. It should, based on the stuff that I've seen so far, it shouldn't be that hard. I think to change the event listeners. And then after I do that, then I'm gonna continue to. The hardest part is gonna be later when I have to synchronize multiple different ways to visualize the graph and create the logic to put event listeners to make it so that I can navigate through the graph with the keyboard and also control the updates based on the keyboards, go back and forth, things like that. I think that part is going to be very difficult. Yeah, but I'm probably going to continue to do that.